Good evening, everybody. I'm Kath Lloyd from Make the Change, and it's Wednesday, and it's Let's Talk. Now, yes, I am in my car yet again, and hopefully my internet connection will be okay tonight. So, hope you are having a good day, and tonight I'm going to be discussing why don't I have the feelings that I want. Now, I know this is, this sounds very familiar to perhaps last week's rather, not yesterday's, which was how can I like myself better? And yes, it is closely connected because how we feel about ourselves is going to have an effect on, the feelings that we are having about all sorts of things that are going on in our life. Hi, Nick. Nice to see you here. So, again, with anything like this, it is thinking about what is about the feeling that you don't want and what feelings do you want instead. And, a lot of this about our feelings is not only to do with a whole multitude of other things that are going on in our lives, but also about what we are attracting ourselves to. And you might have, heard this term a lot recently, and it's the laws of attraction. But we're going to go to that shortly. So, what is it that you don't like about the feelings and what is affecting them? So, there's, things like our lifestyle is going to affect them, our exercise regime, our nutrition, our sleep patterns, our social life, our work life, our relationships, because we are very interactive, and the way we mix with other people or the way other people interact with us is going to have a huge effect on us. And it's like I said last week that if you are, in a situation in life where there's a lot going on, it might be a lot of, that is going to give you a lot of anxiety, then you might actually be feeling a little bit more vulnerable than you would do normally. So, when I talk about vulnerability, you are probably going to be a little bit more sensitive to the feelings that you're having and reacting to them. But you need to look at a good broad cross section of your life in general to have a look at how you could alter things. So we know there's so much information in the media, great programs on telly about how nutrition affects us, and it's about us taking responsibility for a lot of these things. I was listening to something on the radio, and someone was saying, they were talking about their obesity, and someone was saying, well, we need more information about nutrition and what we can do to eat better. But if you just spend a few minutes, you can find that information. And deep down we know that if we eat too many calories and when we're going to put on weight, especially if we're not exercising enough, because at the end of the day it all balances out, and the more overweight we become, that has a whole effect on our metabolism, and then how more difficult it might be to go out and exercise. And it's the same with our sleep pattern. If we're not getting enough sleep, we're not going to make good decisions, and or better decisions. We can't concentrate so much, which could easily have an effect on other parts, other areas of our life. So it's important to think about what's going on in the background. It might be that you have a lot of roles and responsibilities. It might be that you're new parents and you've got young children and you're holding down a full-time job. Or perhaps, you are a stay-at-home parent and you're finding it a little bit more difficult, or it might be that you're caring for somebody else, or it might be that there's a lot of pressure at work. Perhaps a lot of people are off sick, at work, or we've got the holiday season coming up. So, the workload is having to be spread around through other people, which can put an awful lot of stress on. But even things like a new regime at work, I went through a phase when I was teaching where I was being cheapied over into different colleges, and it was really quite stressful. Well, it was an anxious time, but when it came to the third time, I knew that my job was going to be safe, nothing was going to change for 6 months, and so it was a lot easier to handle. But, big changes do come, different working hours, different working hours, can will take time to get used to. So going back to when my teaching regime changed, just the length of the class changing by 30 minutes made a huge impact on me. It had a huge impact on the students, and it took several weeks to adjust to it. And it's about giving ourselves time to adjust to it so that we can progress and reach that little bit of normality again, where you feel a bit more comfortable about managing. Okay, so when we talk about laws of attraction, it is what are you focusing on when you are talking about these feelings that you don't want? Do you keep do you keep concentrating or focusing on the negative, um, the difficult, the woe is me, the upset? Because if that's what you keep focusing on, you're going to notice it more and more. Okay, and it's about focus. So it's about changing your focus as well. So this is where the gratitude that I talk about really comes into play. What has gone well today? What made you feel happy? How did you help other people? And what were other people grateful for, from what you did for them? I mean, on the radio today when I've been driving around, they were talking about what's made you feel sensational today. And it was all sorts of things. And some of the things weren't big, they were just little things. I mean, today I've been decorating and I was just able to lose myself in the decorating and have the radio on with some music and have a sing along to the music, and that made me feel sensational because I was doing something purposeful that wasn't taxing my brain too much, and I could enjoy the music and get on with the job and get on with the task at hand and enjoy myself while I was doing it. So when we talk about gratitude and pinpointing the things that make us feel good, it doesn't have to be big stuff. All right, and at first you might only see that for a small amount of time, but it's important to recognize it and jot it down. And this is where a new habit is being created, because the more you see or recognize the good feelings, the ones that make you feel sensational, the ones that make you feel great about yourself and about the world and what's happening all around you, then you're going to be seeing or recognizing, more of those as you go through your days. So it's really important to focus on what it is that you want to be feeling and start to recognize when you are feeling those and write it down, because it's so easy to swish all of these things away. and and in when you're going through anxious and stressful times, this is when it's important to do the gratitude. And then going back to another exercise that I've talked about before, it's thinking about how you want to be the next day. So before you go to bed, how do you want to feel the next day? Okay? And I know that you can't guarantee that, all right, because we get interferences from other people, other situations, but then it's about how you manage that interference. Because if you keep in mind what it is that you want to be thinking and what you want to be feeling, then when that negative interference gets in the way, you can self-talk your way around it. Push that negative interference away, or deal with it and so then once you've dealt with it, it can go out the way, and then you can get on with the feelings that you do want, the feelings that you do like. And this will take practice. It isn't an instant, it isn't a given, and some people will find it harder than other people, but it's like the saying goes, practice makes perfect. It will become easier because it's about changing a habit. All right. And you will have days which are tougher than others, but that is life, isn't it? And it's it's just how we rock and roll. Life is a roller coaster. Things do go up and down. And but that is good, because then we can enjoy the good times even better. When we're feeling content and at one with ourselves, we can enjoy those even better and really make the most of it. So, it's about as well expressing yourself to yourself. And actually, I read an interesting article about downloading and, talking therapies, which we know are counselling, CBT, coaching, mentoring, those sorts of things. But actually, what I thought was a really good idea is talk to yourself in the third person. So you can download to yourself. So instead of saying me or I, you say your name, or she or he. So I thought that was really quite interesting, and it's just talking about this now, that's just jogged my memory about it, because I haven't actually tried it. And I'm going to put that down on my list of things to do this week over the next 7 days and just see how it works. But I think, that would be a really interesting exercise to do. So, to just round off then, it's about, getting the feelings that you want. It's about focusing on what it is that you do want and not on what you don't want. Okay. So, and then trying to create the right atmosphere to get that. So, for example, if you want more serenity in the home, perhaps it's about trying to reduce the arguments, perhaps it's about having the right setting, perhaps it's about changing the lighting or the music that you're playing or what you're watching on the TV, or changing your colour schemes so that you are calmer. And And so you're creating the right atmosphere, just like they would do at a play or on a film set, you know. And it's not the be all and end all, but it's a good start to helping to create the right mood for the right feeling that you're trying to create. Okay. And this is all about choice. You do have a choice about your feelings, but it's about choosing which feelings you want, managing the ones that you don't want, so that you can move them away from you, further away from you, and then managing the feelings that you do want to bring them at the forefront of your mind so that you can enjoy them even better. I'd love to know, all these Let's Talks that I do, I'd love to know whether, you are putting these things into practice and, just writing a little comment, or if you don't want to write a comment on the post, send me a personal message, because I'd love to know how you're getting on with these little exercises that I give you to do. Just so that I know if I'm missing anything, that I need to add something to it or slot in a different topic to help with things that perhaps I'm missing. But it's about communication and keeping in touch so I can help you the best that I can do. Okay, I don't know what time it is, how long I've been chatting with, but I will be back again next Wednesday for Let's Talk. I'm not sure yet what we're going to be doing because I've got a few things in the forefront of my mind and I haven't quite made the decision yet. But if you've got something that you would like to discuss, then just leave a comment so that we can get on and get that booked in. So have a lovely evening and have a great week, and I'll speak to you next Wednesday at 8 o'clock for Let's Talk. Bye bye.